Hey everybody, this is a quick video talking about some of the pros and cons of different bindings or constructions for specifically elbows, but they would apply to any kind of joint. So on this one arm over here I use one type of construction, and on this other arm I use another type. So let me hide the torso and the head just so that you can see the arms, and I'll dig into it a little bit more. So on this what I would call the back arm, we use a round joint kind of construction, and then on this front arm we use the SmartBone type of construction. And specifically in this video I want to talk about which construction is easier for creating different characters, and what even happens if you modify a character. Now, the SmartBone construction is the most powerful, and it gives you a natural kind of appearance as you move the bone. For example, you can get all different kinds of appearance, and you can see if you look at the lines as they move, the actual shape of the arm is changing. So that's very powerful. The disadvantage with the arm construction, it doesn't work with things like, for example, in here I have the hand, and I use a switch layer for the hands. So in that case, I'm not really going to use SmartBone construction for these hands. Now, I possibly could, but that's not what I'm going to use. I'm going to use just a round joint kind of construction because it's just easier for a lot of different hands. The disadvantage of the SmartBone approach is that you have to be very comfortable with using SmartBones. And so if I wanted to take this character, and let's say I use this character as the basis for creating another character, I'm going to want to change the shape of the arm and things like that. And so then I have to get rid of all the SmartBone actions. So in this particular case, we're using the left forearm. And here, if I go to that left arm, we can see all of these points have to be deleted because they're going to be very specific to each particular arm shape. And then you need to use two different actions. That's suggested. I've got other videos to explain why. But the point is that you will have to be comfortable with creating these different control points. Now, that works very well, but you need to be very comfortable with that. You also need to be comfortable with binding, because when you bind these points to the bones, it's not just as easy as doing something like layer binding. The round joint construction, on the other hand, is very easy to do, and if you change it to a different character, change the size or shape of the arm, you really only have to worry about the endpoints. So it's pretty easy to do, and you don't have to create separate actions for the SmartBones. You can if you want. The disadvantage of the round joint is, of course, you have this round joint. The second thing is, as you move the arm, so in this particular case, let me move this one, you don't really have as natural of an appearance because these shapes are not going to be changing as you move the arm. But another advantage here is I can swing this arm all the way around, so that if you want to do that, I suggest the round joint construction. Now, there is a variation of this round joint construction which uses the grid. So let's enable the grid here, and you can change the sizing of the grid, and the Pop Toogie character uses that as an example, and it's a nice kind of way to construct things, but the problem is you need to construct the arms or whatever joints that you're doing in a either completely vertical or completely horizontal manner. So that doesn't really allow you to easily start off with some sketch in which the character is not in that purely vertical or purely horizontal position. So I have another technique that I use for that. And what I use is a reference circle layer. Now, I used to have a reference circle for every joint, the shoulders, the knees, the elbows, the ankles, the wrists, but now that just had lots of circles all around it, and it just kind of looked ugly and had this strange feel to it. And so now I just have a single circle. And all you really need is just a circle, and then what you want to have is a plus in between it, and you want the style to have a stroke that is equal to the stroke width of the arms or legs as you're constructing them, so that what it makes it easy to do is it makes it easy to match up things. And so all you need to do is you can select the transform tool, and you can move the reference circle around wherever you want it to be. Let me turn off the grid right now, and I can just move this around and place it. I want to have this joint at the very center. That's the reason for the plus symbol, is so that the joint pivots exactly at that center. And I can press Alt and change the size of the circle if I want to. Oh, and by the way, the reason things that are going away are not visible as I do this apply and move, the reason it changes the visibility is because underneath here, under Edit Preferences, you can set Enable GPU. So if I turn on Enable GPU, and now as I do that, I can see this better, and the visibility stays there, but it makes the background kind of blurry. So depending upon what you're trying to look at, you may want to turn on that GPU acceleration or not. Okay, so that's a very quick overview of the pros and cons of the different approaches. Basically, to summarize, for simple, quick characters, the round joint construction is really nice. But if you really want the more natural feel, or you need to have joints that are not just round, you want them to look sharper, then the SmartBone construction is what you want to choose. Okay, so I will add links to the different constructions. I have already videos that explain lots of different construction types, but I'm going to update those with some new hints and tips for creating these different joints. So I'll create one for the SmartBone and one for the round joint construction. So if you want to see those, just click on the links. Have fun animating.